Al Roker and Deborah Roberts have long been considered one of America's most inspiring media couples. Warm, respected, grounded, and beloved, their partnership has always appeared steady, almost effortless. From Al's decades on national television to Deborah's award-winning journalism, they've built a life that blends public visibility with deep private devotion. Their bond has always radiated teamwork, resilience, and genuine affection. But as with any long and committed relationship, there are moments that never make it to the cameras, moments filled with silence, uncertainty, and emotional weight. And recently, Deborah opened up about an experience that shook her more than she expected. A moment when she realized Al was hiding something from her. According to Deborah, it began with very subtle changes, just enough to raise suspicion but not enough to confront directly. Al, usually upbeat, expressive, and full of stories from work, suddenly became unusually quiet. His laughter, the kind that normally filled their home, grew softer. His conversations became shorter, and his energy, usually bright and familiar, seemed overshadowed by something he wasn't ready to talk about. At first, Deborah assumed it was simply exhaustion. Al's schedule had been demanding for years. Early mornings, long broadcasts, and personal health challenges had shaped much of his recent life. Deborah was used to seeing him tired, but this time the fatigue felt different. He wasn't just worn out, he was distant. She noticed his eyes drifting during conversations, his mind clearly somewhere else. He excused himself from rooms more than usual. He took calls privately. And the man who normally shared everything, from funny behind-the-scenes moments to heartfelt reflections, was suddenly withholding pieces of himself. She described it as a shift in the air, not dramatic, not loud, but unmistakable. She couldn't quite name it, yet she couldn't ignore it either. One evening, after a long day, Deborah walked into the living room and found Al pacing, hands in his pockets, eyes fixed on the floor. He looked like a man rehearsing a confession. When she gently asked if he was all right, he gave her a quick smile, kissed her forehead, and said, "Just thinking." But she knew the smile wasn't real. And Deborah, whose career depends on reading people, recognized immediately that something important was weighing heavily on her husband. Over the next few days, the distance only grew. Al avoided conversations about upcoming projects. He turned down family discussions by saying, "Let's talk later." Later never came. Deborah found herself navigating a quiet tension inside her own home, an unfamiliar space between them. Despite her composed exterior, she admitted that her mind began to spiral. Was he dealing with a health concern? Was something happening at work? Was a decision being made without her? Or was there something he simply didn't want to burden her with? The silence, she said, felt heavier each day. The moment that changed everything came one morning at breakfast. Al sat at the kitchen table, reading through a stack of papers. He wasn't really reading them, Deborah could tell. His eyes moved, but his mind was somewhere else entirely. When she lightly asked if everything was all right, he paused, not for a second or two, but for so long that the answer became clear before he even spoke. He was keeping something from her. Deborah said it felt as if the room froze, as if her instincts, quiet for weeks, suddenly stood up and said, "This is it." After days of silence and growing emotional distance, Al finally revealed the truth. What he had been hiding wasn't scandalous nor selfish. It was deeply personal, something he feared would trouble the peace of their home. He had been offered a major career opportunity, one that would require months of intense work, extensive travel, and physical strain. The kind of opportunity that would reshape not only his schedule, but their family rhythm. After years of focusing on his health and cherishing more time at home, the idea of taking on something so demanding felt risky. Al had stayed silent because he didn't want to place additional stress on Deborah. He didn't want to disrupt her work or worry their family. He believed he could sort through the decision on his own, alone. Deborah revealed that although she understood his intentions, the secrecy pierced her, not because of the opportunity itself, but because he didn't trust that she could carry the emotional load with him. She approached him with grace rather than frustration. She reminded him that their marriage has always been built on honesty, that she didn't want to be shielded from difficult conversations, that she wanted to be part of them. She told him gently, "We've weathered too much together for you to walk through something this important by yourself." Their conversation that morning turned into hours-long reflection on priorities, fears, hopes, and what truly mattered most. It wasn't dramatic. It was intimate, honest, healing. If you found this deeper look into Al and Deborah's emotional journey meaningful, be sure to subscribe, tap the notification bell, and stay with us as we continue sharing the real stories behind the people you think you know.